What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition. Morning Scone presented by Brock, which you know already, and Hudco Roofing. My hat's in my car. I need to grab it. HudcoRoofing.com. Appreciate y'all for being here as always. Hang on. That's audio on. Don't want that. All right, please, if you're on Facebook, like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post. If you are on YouTube, do us a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel and smash the like button. Let's see, we'll say some good mornings here, see what y'all got. Busy day yesterday, and plenty still to do today also. Day 2 here of SEC Media Days at 9 a.m. Central Time. Kirby Smart and Georgia kick it off. So Georgia also brought quarterback JT Daniels, thank God. And then Jordan Davis from Georgia is also here. Also in the morning, we get Josh Heupel and then Velus Jones and Alontae Taylor. Got to read up on those guys. That's the Tennessee players that are here. Afternoon session today, Mark Stoops along with Darian Kennard and Josh Paschal. And then bat and cleanup, Lane Kiffin. I'm actually excited about that, and hopefully we have a chance to get Lane. But they're also bringing Matt Corral and Jalen Jones. Had Matt Corral 2 years ago for SEC Media Days. They brought him, then Ole Miss coach Matt Luke brought Matt Corral. And had a chance to visit with him then. And the funny thing I remember about interviewing Matt Corral is I called him Matt Coral the whole interview. And after the interview, I shake his hand, thank you for stopping by, and he leaves over and goes, hey, by the way, it's Corral. I was like, hey, by the way, tell me that before we start next time. Don't let me call you Coral the whole interview. Anyway, so curious if y'all have any feedback. On yesterday, it was cool. The thing that I like most about media days, like seriously, my favorite part is whenever I get to interview players from other schools that you'd otherwise never get a chance to talk to. Like for example, yesterday I had Zach Carter, and Zach Carter is a defensive lineman from Florida, and I had no idea, but both of his parents went to Southern University. His mom was born in Baton Rouge. His dad is from Florida. And they met as students at Southern University, got married, and moved to Tampa, where Zach was born. So, I mean, and he's so polished, tons of good stuff. So, anyway, all right, let's say some good mornings. See what y'all got here. You know, you can always fire away in the chat there. Give me your questions. Father John David Mathern, good morning. Jerry DeLucky, what schools are up today? Just kind of went through that. Storylines, of course. Well, I mean, you got Lane and Heupel going for their first time. Lane went obviously to Tennessee 12 years ago, whatever. But anyway, so that'll be a storyline there. The transition at those two schools. Can Ole Miss challenge in the West? I think that's going to be a legitimate question today for Kiffin and Matt Corral. It's you have probably the best offensive play caller in the SEC as your head coach. You have probably the best quarterback in the SEC. Ole Miss is going to put up a ton of points this year. Can they scrap together some semblance of a defense? And if so, they could be a dangerous team in the West. Brandon DeVille, what stood out day one? Greg Sankey, the COVID talk. I know nobody wants to talk about COVID anymore, but effectively, there is still, and I'm going to have Sankey on either today or tomorrow. I haven't locked it in yet, but I'm going to ask him point blank if this hasn't been answered. Is the game going to be a no contest, or is it going to be a forfeit? If a team can't proceed because of COVID, they're not rescheduling games this year. So if you can't proceed, is it a forfeit? Because if it's a forfeit, you take an L on your record. If it's a no contest, then it's just not played. So instead of a 12-game schedule, you'd have an 11-game schedule. And then, a committee theoretically would have to determine what to do with that as they move along. But that's the big one. I mean, That was the big news. That's why Sankey is pushing so hard for all of these teams to get vaccinated. He doesn't want to end up with that situation. I'm not talking about the vaccine. I don't care. Like, if you want to get it, if you don't, I don't care. But I'm just telling you that's why he's pushing so hard, because they're playing with different rules this year. Let's see. Greg Daigle, is it just talk? Oh, it's just talk. But did you come away yesterday feeling any more confident about our Tigers? No, Greg, I think LSU is what I'd say the most surprising thing of the day to me was Austin Deculus. He crushed it. Everyone who spoke to him yesterday thought he crushed it. His personality came out yesterday unlike I've ever seen. So, that was great. But as far as on the field stuff, I mean, nothing you say at a media day is gonna change my opinion about what might happen on the field. I gotta see what happens on the field. Hello, Cormier. Paul Feinbaum is re-signing with ESPN. That should be you signing with ESPN, Matt. Not him. It's all good, Noel. I'm good where I am, man. I'm really good where I am. When Feinbaum retires, if they want to come talk to me, they can come talk to me. But honestly, that'll probably be Peter Burns when Paul retires. Kirk Taylor, morning, Sconers. What you said on the Scots show last night, you rustled some jimmies? What you said on the Scots show last night? The Scots show? What are you talking about? Kirk, I have no idea what you're talking about. What you said on the Scots show last night? I don't know what that means, man. I'm sorry. I don't know what that is. Let's see, local Tuscaloosa host not high on A&M, giving the nod, LSU second for the West. I'll probably pick A&M second in the West. You have to look at the schedule. A&M gets South Carolina and Missouri this year from the East. So LSU has Florida and has to go to Kentucky. So anyway. I think he meant Chuck Oliver. What did I say on Chuck Oliver's show that I haven't said it anywhere else? Cliff Nelson, good morning. Trivia Carter, good morning. Spurge, what's up? Alex Day, hey Matt, is it Friday yet? Not yet, man. Ryan Dixon, did you eat dinner with Coach O last night? No, sir, did not eat dinner with Coach O. Aaron Fontaine, good morning, Tiger Nation. Commit from Citizen out of Lake Charles. I did see that on Twitter that they got it. It was actually right as Ogeron was starting media days. Pretty good timing. Todd Owens, Matt, guess what? It's raining again. That's crazy, man. I know we're getting a ton of calls about roof leaks right now at HUDCO, so y'all give us a shout. Like, we'll get to you ASAP, but please, if you're having an issue, HUDCOroofing.com, go to the contact form. You'll be on our list. We'll be in touch immediately. HUDCOroofing.com. Spurge, off subject, thoughts on the Peyton Eli alternative MNF call. Did they announce that yesterday? I didn't see it. Like, I hope y'all understand me. When I'm here, it is an all-encompassing thing. Like, I talked to Erica when I woke up. I didn't talk to her again until like 7 o'clock at night. I mean, it's one of those types of things. So I didn't even see it, but now I'm looking at Sports Center. Levine enters the protocol, not on flight to Tokyo. Yeah, Team USA basketball is going to suck. Hate to say it, but another COVID story there. I do have an interview at 7:40, so I got about 15 more minutes before they call me. So we'll blow and go here. Make sure I get to as many of you as possible. Let's see, Scott McClendon. Good morning. Morning, Matt. What was your overall feeling after Coach O's speech about the feelings from the rest of press row at LSU? I got asked 2 questions primarily yesterday, and I literally probably spoke more yesterday on other people's show than I did on my own show. Because when it's LSU Day, everybody wants to get interviews and perspective from LSU people, right? So, I mean, I was up and down Radio Row all day doing interviews with people, and I got asked the same 2 questions by everybody. 1, Max or Miles, which quarterback? And 2, is Ogeron really on the hot seat? Dennis Dodd put out that list, was like, the ranking the hot seats or whatever lists, right? But so everyone saw it and saw Ogeron on it, and they're like, wait a minute, the guy that just won a championship. So those 2, I got asked more than anything yesterday. Let's see, where are we? Where are we? But the feelings. Oh man, I don't know that anything drastic was said yesterday when I got opinions from people. The opinion for most everybody was that Deculus did really really well. They enjoyed talking to Austin. I didn't realize this, but Ed mentioned it in his main room remarks, and then I asked Austin about it when I had him on the show. He's going to be he's going to set the LSU record for most games played in a career, which is remarkable. But it makes sense because a lot of guys who stay 5 years and could be a 4-year starter, but you don't play for 5 years because you don't have 5 years of eligibility. He's going to be a starter for 5 years, which has never happened before, obviously. So he's going to have played more games than anyone in the history of LSU football, which is really, really cool. I mean, there's a little bit of the asterisk, obviously, because he had the extra year because of COVID, but still, I mean, dude's gonna have the chance to do it. Kenneth Martin, morning Matt. Any thoughts on Shed leaving the program? Honestly, Kenneth, someone asked me that yesterday too, and I don't know the whole backstory, what happened there. I think it's a bummer because you're thin at tight end, and I don't know what Jalen Shed would have been. I think it's probably more likely now that, I'm guessing, but that you see Jack Besh is sort of a flex tight end this year. He's an extra receiver on the field. Cole Taylor maybe is more of your attached guy, or maybe you see more of Nick Storrs in a blocking role. I don't think Jalen Shed was going to be a blocker from what I understand, but I think maybe that gives someone like a Jack Besh an opportunity to jump up a little bit. I mean, if he wasn't already, but. Hey, Janet Anderson. Good morning, Brady Smith. Morning, Matt. Although I'm not surprised by the response, Coach O's answer to Pete Thamel's question about off-the-field issue was pretty bad. And Brady, the reason it was even worse is because of the way Pete phrased the question. Pete actually did a really good job of phrasing the question, and it was the only one that was asked, at least in the main room. But Pete Thamel asked, in the way he phrased it was, I'm not asking, I know it's an ongoing investigation and a legal matter that you can't comment on, but in light of everything that's happened, have you changed the way that you address or talk to players? And that was a perfect way to phrase it because it in the question answered the objection of it's a legal matter, I can't comment. Because he said, I'm not asking you about the legal matter. I'm not asking you about what happened or anything like that. I'm just asking you, do you speak differently to your players now? In light of what's happened, which is a perfectly reasonable question, and Ed wouldn't answer it. And when you no comment things like that, it's not good. Scott, let's see, you were right about the COVID talk going forward. Greg said he ain't playing this year. Hey, look, man, I was tipped off on Sunday night that was a big thing that Greg was going to focus on, and he did, and I understand why, because from his perspective anyway, because regardless of what you feel about COVID or the vaccine or the new variant, whatever, that's whatever. What you feel is what you feel, but if they're not going to alter schedules this year, if they're going to start on time and finish on time, and if games can't be played, then they're not going to be made up. He wants every game to be played, and if the surefire way to make that happen is to get people vaccinated, he's going to push people to be vaccinated. So, and yes, I know people that are vaccinated are getting COVID. I understand that's the point, but what I can tell you is when you cross the threshold of 80% of your roster being vaccinated, the standards lower. What I mean is, if 80% of your roster is vaccinated, then you have to test fewer times, like maybe once a week instead of like 3 times a week. Mask mandates, social distancing, all of that kind of goes down. So a lot of that stuff just practically is removed from your program. And I will tell you that LSU is above the 80%. So LSU, I don't know if they have the highest percentage of vaccinated players in the SEC, but they are among the 6 that have cleared that 80% threshold, and it's significantly higher than that number. Let's see, Matt, are you surprised O wasn't pressed more on his role in the off-the-field issues? Yes. Ryan Dixon, if you get a chance, will you ask Saban about NIL? I'd be curious how he feels about it. could see him getting frustrated about players getting distracted. Sure, I'm sure he'll be asked, but he'll probably hit it head on. But I'll tell you this too, man, Ryan. Any coach that comes out against NIL is doing himself and his program a massive disservice, because it exists everywhere. It's not going anywhere. People and players are going to take advantage of it. And if you're smart as a coach, you would just acknowledge that it's here, it's not going anywhere, and you'd be better served assisting your players and using that to your benefit in recruiting, as opposed to being against it and pushing back against an immovable object, because NIL is not going anywhere. So, I mean, it's state law, and they're asking for, what they're asking for is federal legislation now to help kind of police it. But so I don't think Saban would get agitated in any way. I think he's going to do exactly what Ed did yesterday, which is say, I'm for it. I think players should be able to get whatever they want. Does it create some challenges? Yes, but I'm for it. Because if you're not for it, then you're telling every recruit you're not for them making money. And other schools are going to say, we got you, come on. And I'll tell you, man, there's no school that has more fully embraced NIL than LSU. I mean, literally, it's like, hey, do whatever you want, just kind of let us know, sort of thing. I mean, that's really it. Because they want to make sure they stay in line with whatever rules may exist, which there are none now, but I think they kind of want to make sure they have a handle on it. Trivia Carter, I see you didn't get a chance to ask O a question. Yeah. I feel shocked. If it's Bama, it'll be a no contest. Everyone else will be a forfeit. Stop. Gulf South, Sankey pushing the vaccine by threatening a forfeit is ridiculous. Look at the Yankees. Multiple vax players still got COVID. If that was the SEC, they'd lose a game, although they took precautions. Hey, it's not Sankey pushing it. It's the league as a whole, which includes the athletic directors and presidents, acknowledging they're not going to shuffle a schedule again. You can't do it because the rest of college football isn't going to do it. If you want to start on time, you can't build in a buffer at the end of the season if you have your regular season followed by the SEC championship game. There aren't extra weekends. So what do? You move forward to push for vaccinated players and understand that it's going to happen around the country this year, just like it's happening right now with Team USA, like it happened with NC State. If you keep testing, people are going to get this virus. People are still going to come up positive. Eric Douglas, what do you think about Caden Salter transfer to, I think, Liberty? Don't know. Sorry, man. Matt, how's your weight loss going? Any advice on staying motivated? Pretty good, man. So what I've done now is that Monday through Friday, well, this week notwithstanding, Monday through Friday, I stay really regimented on Ideal Protein. On the weekend, like if we go out to dinner, I'll have whiskey. I'll eat kind of what I want. So I have stayed in. So when I started Ideal Protein, I was 227. I got down to 207. 205, 207 was my target. And on what I'm doing now, I basically vacillate 210 to 212. So I'm right in that range. So I feel really good about that, man. I don't want to be 195. I look way too like drawn in when I'm that small. So I've hit a really good maintenance point, you know. And the motivation is just the same motivation you had when you started dieting. Let's see. Are the LSU reps coming back home today or staying all week? No, they're home. They fly. They have private air, so they leave Baton Rouge. They fly in the little jet into Hoover, do media days, and fly right back. They usually go to a steakhouse, feed them a good dinner, and then fly them right back. Thomas Lamont. That's pretty much what I do, Matt. Great way to maintain what you got. All right. Any more? Let's see. I got to do this interview coming up here shortly in Tennessee on the Swain event. Oh, God, I'm behind over here. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Brian. Morning, Matt from somewhere in Wyoming. Did you see the running back commit from Lake Charles? I did. That's great news. Apparently, they're going to get another big one, too. The big defensive lineman. Who's the big name defensive lineman that everybody wants? Maybe Madison Prep. Y'all know whoever it is there. Apparently, they're getting him, too. Damian Bowe, nice shirt. I have the exact same one. Cool. I like it. It's kind of bright. Huh? Hey, Kelly Gross, good morning. Charlie Cavell, was it you that asked Sankey about the drug policy and equities? No, that was Jacques. Christian Frugier, time for a beer tour. When I get back, we'll see if we can throw it together. Who has the better year, Stingley or Ricks? I'll say Ricks. I don't think Stingley gets tested as much. I think that's a big part of why Stingley's numbers may not be there. But I think they're both going to be great. Did you hear, by the way, did you hear me ask Derek yesterday about Corey Raymond taking over the entire DB room instead of just cornerbacks with Bill Bush coaching safeties? If you missed it, go back and listen to my Derek Stingley interview yesterday. Go back and listen to it. Dale Broussard, are they testing for all the other viruses out there also? No. Charlie, it's ridiculous Rosenthal gets booted out of LSU and lands at UK. Charlie, that's the new transfer rule, man, and I'm for it. And by the way, he didn't get booted out of LSU. He was going to have to serve a season-long suspension for positive drug tests, and so he decided to go play elsewhere instead of sitting this year. I don't blame him. Rules allowed it. I don't blame him at all. The bigger problem I have is LSU has an absurdly stringent drug testing policy that nobody else has. Janet, what did Spurge, or I'm sorry, I'm looking at Spurge. What did Sankey say about drug policies? They're not, it's something that comes up every year. And they're not going to move toward a uniform drug policy because you have different independent universities with their own independent rules, and you can't ask a university to be beholden to a conference, an athletic conference rule that's being dictated by other heads of universities. So it's one of the real oddities is that you have all of these independent sort of states that compete against each other, but there's a lot of gray into how they can be universally governed. It's why the NCAA having that autonomy is very difficult. That's one of the reasons you're seeing the Autonomy 5 and the talk of breaking away from the NCAA. So, no, I don't think you'll ever see uniform drug testing policies. Spurge, where's Fathead Drew? Couldn't fit him in the car, man. Actually, I could have fit him in the car. I just wasn't going to. All right, y'all, we're done. I got to do this interview. So, we'll be live from SEC Media Days, Radio Row, today at 3. If you're on YouTube, please smash that like button. If you haven't done it yet, that's the thumbs up. We appreciate it. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Shout out to Brock and Hudco. Appreciate y'all very, very much. Wiggins, I think that's him. Yeah. Quincy Wiggins, is that right? Sidney Bonnet? Yeah, they're getting him. So that's, at least that's what I was told yesterday. So that's good news. But it's recruiting, so things could always change. But yeah, apparently they're getting him. Hulk, smash that like button. All right, y'all, have an awesome day, and we'll catch you later. Peace.